So, what are the signs that we should be looking for when we're feeling emotionally or physically depleted?
I think I love that you said physically and emotionally, because there are the physical signs of burnout: not sleeping well, gut pain, indigestion, constipation, feeling that you are getting colds and flus, you're getting sick all the time. Immune system is really connected to your GI tract, to your gut. The physicals, we feel flat, not motivated, or we're sharp and quick, we don't have good responses. How we speak to people doesn't reflect character, our real character of kindness.
Hi, I'm Glennis Woods Mullins, and I love to help women to vibe, to be more vibrant, intuitive, beautiful, and empowered in midlife. So come on, let's vibe. I know that one of the things that midlife women don't talk about, or women over 50 and on that journey of midlife, what they don't talk about is the importance of the parasympathetic nervous system. That parasympathetic nervous system really gets very sensitive in midlife, and we need to do the things that are necessary to reset the parasympathetic nervous system and to achieve calm. Gone should be the time where we're pushing all the time, and instead we should be allowing, we should be trusting. And after all, we have accumulated so many life experiences and wisdom that now is the time for us to approach things maybe in more of a calm way. But sometimes it's really hard to do. We need some help. So that's why we have Dr. Melanie Gray, PhD, RN, with us. She is a nationally recognized expert in trauma-informed leadership, burnout prevention, and workplace wellness. And I am so glad that you are here today. Dr. Melanie, first of all, tell us how you came to be an expert when it comes to trauma-related themes.
I have had a very long career, Lennis. So 41 years. So I've reinvented myself. I have a number of levels of expertise, areas of expertise. But it was really during COVID that my organization asked me to help create a culture of wellness that supported both our health caregivers and the community and how we manage them. And so that brought me into a realm of developing an expertise as a subject matter expert around trauma-informed care. And then post-COVID, we still now see higher levels of anxiety in the workplace, in the world. And so that message and that the need for that education just continues.
Yeah, it is a need, and you're so right. Plus, I know that one of the symptoms of having lower progesterone in our systems and the elevated cortisol and the leaving of estrogen is anxiety. For years and years, I suffered from anxiety, and I was misdiagnosed. They told me I had anxiety disorder, when the reality was it was actually my hormones, the unbalanced hormones, that was causing the anxiety. But either way, in terms of what the causation is, we really need some coaching and some skills on how to deal with not just the anxiety, but also the stress factor, the feeling of chronically being stressed and moving towards burnout. What are some of the practical things that you can share with us to help us with those issues?
First of all, you have to pause. You have to stop and really listen to your body. Listen to what you're experiencing. You are in your own skin all of the time, but too often we take our cues from other people. Susie's doing it, Kenya's doing it, they're working extra hours, they're doing whatever. And if we're putting the life design of other people upon ourselves, and there's a cumulative effect to stress, elevated cortisol levels, and the impact that this allosteric load has on our bodies in terms of tension, being short fused. The first thing we have to do, a woman, I believe, has to do is be aware of what they are experiencing. Now, I'm not a journaler in terms of writing, but I don't mind. I send myself text messages. For me, that works. Or recording on a voice recorder. You need to record and be honest, hear yourself say, what am I experiencing? And then you have to tell yourself the truth. I'm not right now. I'm not good. I'm not responding well. I'm not showing up well. I don't like how I feel. I don't like that I can't sleep. And then you have to be willing to take the intentional steps, being committed to yourself to change. That means your diet has to change. You have to exercise. You have to really spend some time with yourself and stop being busy. And I'm going to say it, Linus, stop the scrolling. If you stop the scrolling, that is my new mantra for 2026. Stop the scrolling. You have to you can't benchmark your life with the experiences of others. You as a woman have to decide for yourself what is good for you. If you don't want to stop working, then don't. If you want to pivot, then do. If you want to go back to college, then do it. No one defines where you should be, but you have to be good with it. I also think that women have to be, we can't benchmark everything against dollars, against titles, against money and things. We have to be open to being sensitive to our heart and the legacy that we really want to leave in the lives of others. What do you give back? So, being honest with yourself. And then once you make a decision that you need to change, then you have to have a plan to do it. Now, you can't do everyone doesn't work well in isolation, Linus. I don't know if you agree with that, but I don't need a community all the time. But I do need to sometimes voice what I'm experiencing and what I'm seeing with a trusted friend or someone else who's not, because we lie to ourselves all the time. That's the danger of being an entrepreneur, but is that you talk to yourself and you answer back.
Right. It's really important. I agree that it's a fine line because there's such a thing as isolation and solitude.
Yes.
Isolation, you have to be careful because that means that you're no longer answering the phone, you're not doing anything, you're just keeping to yourself. And sometimes it's so much so that you can easily not leave the house for days. That's not healthy. Solitude is when you choose to spend some quiet time,
Yes.
enjoying your own company. Maybe you're praying or gardening or listening to music or just resting. Solitude is very important, especially for women as we begin to age. So isolation, though, we need our girlfriends. We need that
Yes, we
feedback.
do.
In fact, you know that there is the hormones that we need to stay balanced are secreted in a much more balanced state, more so than any other time when we are with our girlfriends, when we're talking and exchanging information and laughing and doing all the things you do when you're with your girlfriends. So it's fine to have the solitude, but it's not as great to have the isolation. It's great to be able to get together with your girlfriends and do the things that are necessary. And that kind of reminds me of something else because a lot of times people will say, I'm just too tired to hang out with my friends. And you say that we've normalized exhaustion
We normalize
as a
it.
badge of honor. How do we begin to stop glorifying this whole burnout thing?
You have to listen to yourself and not others. Just because other people are running themselves ragged doesn't mean that you have to, and it doesn't mean that they're getting a good outcome. It's just you don't necessarily get a good. Everyone's not getting an outcome from being tired, and you don't. I went through a period in my life where I was exhausted. I was so exhausted. I didn't know what it felt like to be rested. And then when I really put the brakes on all that stuff, I pared down on all my service organizations. I simplified my life. And when I made the decision to simplify my life and take time to rest, I started scheduling 3-day weekends where I just laid in the bed and watched Hallmark at least for a day. I just had pajama weekends and I began to get rejuvenated. I believe that time also gave me the courage to try new things because sometimes as women, we wouldn't burn out if we had more things in our lives, if we would take the risk to learn and I love what you said about being with our girlfriends, but sometimes we don't have safe places. And some people in our lives need to go. And that's part of the being healthy, really rejuvenating and reducing some of the stress in our lives, or just being honest that all the relationships, everyone can't go with you the distance.
That's true. And we have different relationships and friendships for different reasons and seasons. If you decide to self-select out certain people because they're energy vampires or energy zappers, it's just too much when you see their phone call come through that they're going to be venting and they're just going to be in a negative space. And it's okay not to answer that phone. It's okay to do that. It's okay
Yes.
to set those boundaries. Sometimes with burnout, we might be in denial that we're even in that place. So, what are the signs that we should be looking for when we're feeling emotionally or physically depleted? How do we know that we might be that way?
I love that you said physically and emotionally, because there are the physical signs of burnout: not sleeping well, gut pain, indigestion, constipation, all feeling that you are getting colds and flus. You hear yourself saying, "Oh, I'm getting sick all the time." And your immune system is really connected to your GI tract, to your gut. So when your gut is disrupted, then your immune system is going to be more disrupted and you are going to be sick. Those are some of the physical and the muscle aches, the tension, the weight gain. Those could be some of the physical signs. Psychologically, emotionally, we feel flat and not motivated, or we're sharp and quick. We don't have good responses. How we speak to people, it doesn't reflect the character, our real character of kindness. So it's real. And then are people shying away from you? Do you see your social relationships changing? So it's important to look at the whole package, because we are into whole beings. And then again, being honest with ourselves about, okay, this is happening. Do I want to continue? Because we do have a choice. It's important for women to know you have a choice, and where you are now is not where you have to stay, and not where you're necessarily going to be in the future. But it is about you having the courage to change.
You know, that's so interesting because I tell women that I work with all the time that midlife is that is really an opportunity. Midlife is not a decline. You're not broken. Your
No.
body isn't giving out. It's just a recalibration. And I don't know when people will be listening to this, but we are going to be doing the Midlife Awakening Summit. And it's all about the idea of women awakening to this idea that midlife really is a great time of life. It all depends on how you choose to go through
Oh,
it.
I love
And
that.
yeah, you can choose to go through it negatively or you can choose to go through it positively. And there's so many opportunities to peel back the layers and get to really know who you are. Unlike any other time, when we were younger, we weren't even thinking about that. And right as we began to have babies, it was all about our bodies being in good condition for the babies. And then we were parents and it was all about the kids. And then we finally get to that point where the kids are either growing up or they've already left. And now you are at that point. Wait a minute. What else is there to do with life? And that's actually the good part, that you get back to begin to really get to know you. And you shouldn't feel guilty about setting some boundaries in order to do that. What are your top strategies when it comes to setting healthy boundaries without guilt?
My no is a full sentence, just yes. Number one, and I'm very intentional about my calendar. So I don't overcrowd it. I'm a doer, Lennis. I get things done. So people like me because I get things done. I know if I ask Melanie to do it, she's going to get it done. But I have learned to say, let me think about it. I'm not sure let me think about who else I can recommend for you. Setting boundaries means, I think that what I do is I live by my calendar and I prioritize time for myself. And really, my greatest strategy is just to block out time for myself on my calendar and not to move it.
Yes, yes.
So it's one thing to put it there, but you just can't move it. And then where are you wanting to have priority for your life? What are you doing for your health? Are you going to have exercise time? What are you doing for your relaxation, your me time? What are you doing to learn something else? How do you want to grow? Because all these things are important, and they're important as in terms of how you do age as we move forward. There is research that says that there's a fall off that the research says we can do between 65 after 75 if we're not active, if we're not intentional, if we're not taking care of our health. So you have to set boundaries so that you can live well. And think about your children and your families and your grandchildren. Because ladies, everything that you are doing is teaching them. It's going to
Oh,
give them
that is
everything you
so
do. Your life
true.
is the biggest college that you could have. You're teaching people by your life. What do you want to teach? What is the legacy that you want to leave in your family?
That is so true. I talk about that all the time, that the younger women in your life, your daughters, your granddaughters, your younger friends and all that, they're looking at you. And and in many cases, they're modeling what you do. So if you can't just do it for yourself, which should be good enough reason, think about the women that you care about who are younger than you, who are looking to you and at you and wanting to be like you. And it's interesting because I can remember when my children were younger. I have four daughters and they're very close in age. And I can remember one time when I was coming home from work and they were already home and they were playing office. Someone, I think, was me because she had a briefcase. 'Cause back then I carried briefcases. She had a
Yeah,
briefcase
we
and
all did.
yeah, and she was the manager, and the other ones were the employees. And I realized that they've been listening to my conversations with their dad about the day of the work because one of the employees was in trouble for being late. Another employee had made a mistake. It's really funny. And that's when I began to dawn on me, okay, I am raising four queens in training. So therefore, I really have to not necessarily, I want to be myself, but I want to be aware of what I'm saying, what I'm doing, and all of that. And of course, now fast forward, my oldest one is 41, and my youngest is soon to be 34. I can't even believe that. And I was, what, 34, 37, and 39, and 41. So they were
What a
all
blessing.
pretty close together, yes. But now I'm so glad that I really caught myself and began to do a different kind of modeling for them because they're all very successful. They all own their own homes. They haven't come back home. They've been gone from home since they graduated from high school and went to college.
Wow.
They always come back to visit, always. There was something that came from my modeling, I think, that made a difference. And that's why it's so important. And I want to talk about something else because I had mentioned earlier about the parasympathetic nervous system and that we don't talk enough about that. Could you share with us the role that the nervous system plays in burnout and recovery? Because I think we need to know that. We need to talk more about that.
Yes. When your nervous system is firing, so when we're stressed out all of the time, your body, so an athlete has time to recover, right? A good athlete's going to work out and then they're going to have their time of recovery. They can
Mhm.
and when we see these recovery drinks and recovery vitamins and fluids, that we could be learning from that. When our parasympathetic system is firing all the time, then when your nervous system is firing all the time, then your body doesn't get a chance to rest. So your parasympathetic system, nervous system is your rest and recovery branch. And when we don't rest and recover and we're firing all the time, that's when our physical body gets so impacted. So when we are so your parasympathetic system helps with rest and recovery, and it helps your body like be flexible and
Mhm.
rebound after stress. And so that's why we need to have the time to allow that to happen. But because we're always firing, if we're always in stress, we never come to that point of recovery.
You know, it's interesting because the body does try to support you when
It
it comes
does.
to being really stressful situations. And you need to follow the cues and listen. When you feel the need to take a deep breath, take a deep breath
Take a deep breath.
because you need to, that's a form of resetting your parasympathetic nervous system. And sometimes you'll get other feelings. You're getting a small little giggling in your gut, a nervous feeling, or almost like a stomach ache, but not fully a stomach ache. That means that something is amiss, something is awry, something that you're uncomfortable with,
Mhm.
things resonating with you. And if you have the opportunity to make the change, to have that go away, then make the change instead of moving and pushing through it because your body's trying to let you know.
Yeah, because so I have my podcast is Code Calm, teaching people how to stop, right? Because when your parasympathetic nervous system is always firing, then you're not giving your body a chance. Your body begins to connect exhaustion with that reduced function. So that's why you feel your body's not recovering. And so that's why we feel like our tongues are hanging out, right? And so then we begin to feel the signs of burnout. And it is research based that when you have continued exhaustion, that you reduce the function of your parasympathetic system. And so therefore it takes you longer to recover. So if you never recover, it takes you longer to recover. And then you feel more burned out. That is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and a lot of people, we do have a tendency to really ignore that, and we have to stop doing that, especially as we are on this midlife journey and beyond. We really want to pay attention to that. It has been so great talking with you, Dr. Melanie. You're so knowledgeable, and I know you have a free giveaway that you're giving to people. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, yes, it is just the stop it principle of self-care. And the link is in the show notes, I believe, that I sent you, Miss Lennis, and
Yes,
thank you.
it is. Thank you so much. There in the show notes are her link and her social media links, as well as to her website. Definitely go into the world of Melanie Gray, especially if you want to figure out a way to move past the trauma, the stress, and the burnout, to be able to be calm and productive and have ultimately more joy in your life. Thank you so much for being on the Vibe Living podcast. It's been great to have you here today.
Oh, thank you so much, Lennis, for this gracious gift and opportunity to contribute to such an important message.
You're
So we can
welcome.
vibe.
So we can vibe. That's right. I was going to say, everybody, please make sure you comment and share on this podcast, as well as the other some odd 160 plus podcasts that are here on this page, all about ways that you can address the needs of the mind, body, and spirit holistically and enhance your vibe. Have a fantastic day, everybody. And don't forget to vibe. Thanks for listening to the Vibe Living Podcast. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment, and share this podcast. Have a fantastic day, and don't forget to vibe. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye, everybody.